Nobody talks about how hard it is your first year. You're going to start, you're going to have a goal, you're going to have a vision, and you're going to pivot. You're going to pivot a ton. I'm still pivoting. And that's something that I thought I'd have it all figured out. I thought I'd have it all figured out. But I've also realized a lot of things. And those are the moments you need. You need the moments that stop you, that break you, that are like, wait, hold on, pause. Am I doing this as a role because I'm good at it and that's what people see? Or I'm doing this to fill my cup and this is what makes me happy every day. And I can tell you those two sides are so rough, both of them. But you have to sit. You have to sit with it. You have to do the work. And you have to know that if you're at that breaking point, don't stop.
I'm Sydney Jocelyn, and this is She Rises Through It. This isn't just a podcast, it's a reclamation, a space for women who are done shrinking, done rushing their healing, and ready to rise through the unfiltered middle of womanhood, motherhood, identity, and becoming. This is where I reclaim my voice in real time, and where we remember that growth doesn't happen by doing more, but by doing it differently together. Before we begin, I want to share that I'm not a medical or mental health professional. Everything shared here is based on my lived experience. Please seek qualified support if you need it. And if you're here, you're not behind, you're becoming. You're in the right place at the right time. Let's begin. Welcome back. I'm recording this 2 days before I fly to Costa Rica to host 11 women for 5 days. And I truly just want to capture where I'm at right now before it all shifts. Honestly, I am nervous. I'm excited. I'm scared. I look back and just to think almost a year ago, I was on this exact journey, but I was on the trip not as a facilitator, not as a host, not as a business owner. I was on a retreat trying to find myself, trying to figure out why did I need to go on this trip? What was it that I needed? Not to know that my entire life was about to change and to shift. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew that I needed change. I knew that I needed to get out of the rut I was in. I knew I needed to come back to my family. And just think that I'm about to do that with 11 women in Costa Rica. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I feel like I have so many things that I still need to do. Thankfully, you guys cannot see the floor to where I'm recording because it is filled with goodies for retreat. I have to finalize the gift bags today, and I've been freaking out. I can feel the tension in my shoulders and my lower back and my hips, and I'm just like, all right, Sydney, you're doing it. You are doing it. And it's real. It is so real. And to think in 2 days, I am going to be on a flight with Chris, getting ready to welcome everybody on Saturday is such a rewarding feeling. It is something I never thought I could do. And this last year, it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. If you go back to the beginning of my podcast, to now, it's a disaster, but it is a beautiful disaster at that, and I love it. And I want to be honest about this first year because there was no clear process. There was absolutely none. I'm pretty sure I pivoted a million times. I'm pretty sure if you look at podcast 1 and start from 1 to now 41 and see how things start to change and evolve, you're going to be like, what just happened? But that is life. That is what happens in real time when you are showing up and giving everybody your life. Showing everybody that it's hard. It's not easy. You're going to have days where you're going to run on tangents. You're going to feel like, what the heck am I doing? There are going to be days that you want to give up, that you realize you're over-delivering to clients, that you're underpricing yourself, but you continue to keep going. And there were days I wanted to throw the towel in. Absolutely wanted to throw the towel in. Me and my husband had plenty of conversations and arguments of, what am I doing? He hasn't fully understood the retreat side. He's understood my marketing and my branding because that's my degree and that's what I've done. But this new side that I'm coming into, the collective, the retreats, he hasn't fully understood that. And is it for him to understand, or is it for me to continue to figure out and to deliver? And I almost gave up a million times. I had done a couple job interviews last year, hoping it was the right one. I was super excited for a remote one. I didn't get it. And that was okay. I was okay with it. But then in December, I did get offered a full-time job, and I took it, thinking this was going to provide the stability that our family needs while I'm building what I need. And when I started that job in January, I was like, I got this. I can do this. To then realize that I'm doing 10 hours of work a week in a 40-hour job, and all I was doing for 30 other hours was draining myself. There wasn't anything I could do to push forward. There wasn't. I mean, I could continue to deliver social assets and figure out developing their brand kit, which I did, to rewriting an entire thank you book to a massive donor to the company, to being able to find their heart, but really start projecting that outwards for them. I saw it. And that's something like so unique about me, is I see where and who brands are, and I bring that out. I bring that forward. I pull those pieces apart to showcase it, because the authenticity in this world is dying. And we need to bring that back. And in this role, I just continued to drain myself. I came back to losing myself when I came home at night. I allowed myself to let my guard down, and I'm not happy about that. I let my guard down and allowed myself to open up and fit in. And really all I did was lose myself, and I allowed myself to fall into the standards and the ways that they allowed and that they wanted. It bit me in the butt, but that bite that hit so hard in my heart was the exact thing I needed to tell me I did the wrong thing. To tell me that, Sydney, you messed up. Why did you do a job when your whole purpose is to help brands, as your own brand, as your own individual, find their story, be able to articulate that and bring it out? So I put my notice in. After a month, it also didn't even make sense for me to finish 2 weeks because I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting there. Fiddling my thumbs. I had a stress ball. I was messing with that. I was trying to find things I could do versus just sit and not do anything. I feel like if I'm not doing things, I'm not productive. And there wasn't enough to fill my days, because I do feel, and I do overpride myself, that I am strong. I am diligent. I am persistent. I am so organized that I get my things done ahead of time. And, I ended up quitting. It was a month that I fell backwards to truly only fall forward. And not being able to show up for my family again, not being present, that was a massive kicker. Also, for the first time leaving a job, like being in the furthest depths that I've ever been in a decade, was a massive, absolutely not. If you go into a job in a role and you get to that point, you need to get out, because that means it's not anything with you. It is what is happening internally in that company. And your peace, your nervous system matters so much more than anything else. And I thought when I quit that job that I failed. That, why can't I keep a job? It's not about keeping a job. I can keep a job. It's what fills my cup and my soul, and what impact do I want to make on this life, in this life. And it's been so liberating knowing that everything that I've done and I continue to do is for a purpose and for a reason. And after that month, everything started to shift again. Everything that I did, it started to shift. And I learned that during this time, when you feel like you want to give up, when you feel like you're in the depths and you need to pivot to help for stability, to help in other ways, don't give up. If you give up, you're giving in. And when you're at that breaking point, that means you are almost there. You are 2 steps closer to making the difference that you have always wanted. And nobody talks about how hard it is your first year. You're going to start, you're going to have a goal, you're going to have a vision, and you're going to pivot. You're going to pivot a ton. I'm still pivoting. And that's something that I thought I'd have it all figured out. But I've also realized a lot of things. And those are the moments you need. You need the moments that stop you, that break you, that are like, wait, hold on, pause. Am I doing this as a role because I'm good at it and that's what people see? Or I'm doing this to fill my cup and this is what makes me happy every day? And I can tell you those 2 sides are so rough, both of them. But you have to sit. You have to sit with it. You have to do the work. And you have to know that if you're at that breaking point, don't stop. Push forward. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. You're going to think, I just want to throw the towel in. Don't do it. That is when individuals throw their entire life off. And I'm a testimony to that. I am a biggest testimony to that. And I'm thankful. I had that fallback to push forward, because when you have amazing people surrounded around with you, your husband, friends, noticing like you made a really bad decision and you lost yourself going back in to a job that was not filling your soul, but you could figure out who they were as a brand and bring them together, but still lose yourself again. That's not okay. And I've had really good heart-to-hearts with my friend where I was like, next time you see this, you don't wait a month. You tell me immediately. Like, that is what a friendship is for. You tell me when, hey, something's off. Something is not right on your end. But that's how you know you have your people. And that's how you know that you're going to push forward. I want to take a minute to share something that's genuinely part of my everyday life. I don't talk about products often, and when I do, it's because they actually support me, especially my nervous system. I use Pioneer Pam's herbal tinctures daily to help me feel more grounded and regulated, especially in seasons where life feels full and a little bit loud. Hello, motherhood, toddlers. And this isn't about fixing anything. It's about supporting your body gently instead of pushing through. If this resonates, I've shared what I personally use in the show notes so you can look into it in your own time. Another piece of my personal wellness routine I want to mention is Make Wellness Bioactive Precision Peptides. I think about my health long-term, energy, focus, recovery, and how I want to support my body so I can actually show up for the life I'm building. These peptides work on a cellular level, which I appreciate because it's about sustainability, not quick fixes. If you're in a season where you're thinking more intentionally about your health and capacity, I've shared more details for you in the show notes to explore when it feels right. And, the real question is, Sydney, what do you actually do? You've pivoted so much this last year. What do you do? I do a lot of things. People call me a marketer, a social media manager, a brand strategist, and that's all true. But what I'm really doing is helping individuals and women see the gap between who they are, who they think they are, and who they're actually becoming. And we build from there. And it gets built in so many different ways. But essentially, I have 5 phases. And these are continuously evolving. But I start with phase 1. I do a brand audit and a discovery. It's this deep discovery period of the origin of your story, your brand, who you're serving versus who you're led to serve, what's working, what feels misaligned, and where you want to be in 2 to 3 years. It takes somebody who truly can sit down and watch for a week or two and have a deep discovery call to really see what that brand is. And we bring it back to who were you in the beginning and who are you now? We evolve and we're supposed to evolve. And if you're not evolving with it, your brand's going to stay stagnant. So we really work on that phase 1 of finding all of that out. And then we go into phase 2. We talk about your positioning and your messaging. What do you stand for? Who you're there for? Have you talked about it? How do you want to talk about it? How do we talk about it authentically and true to your brand and not having it AI driven? AI is a moving force in this world. I use it. I absolutely use it. It is a tool, but it's a tool like any other thing. If you're on a workout weight loss journey, like you have tools, you have different protein powders you use, peptides you use, maybe you're on GLP-1. You have tools to get you there, but they're not the one doing the work. And the person behind it all is the person that's doing it. So when you look at your positioning and messaging, we look at all of that. Do we? Yes, absolutely use AI to help with some of it. Absolutely. However, AI can't feel you. AI can't be in that setting with you and talk with you about it. AI can just throw the same basic things out there, but do they feel your heart? Do they know what you truly stand for and what you're building? So we look at that in phase 2. And then in phase 3, we move forward and we look at your visual direction and identity. We start transitioning your positioning, what you stand for, what you're there for, how we're going to talk about your brand authentically. And we start changing it into visual language. What does that look like? How do you want to be perceived? How do you want others to feel when they look at your visuals? It's not this curated, slap it all together AI. You can't do that. AI can help you. It is a tool. Remember, we use tools. You're supposed to use tools. Everything is a tool. However, you are the vessel. You are the vessel and the driving force of bringing it all forward. And who you partner with is going to be that other driving force. So we look at that visual language of what your identity and the direction of your brand is going to look like. And then we go into phase 4. We talk about your website strategy and your content direction. We start building out a working blueprint and the words that you need to provide to somebody who's developing your website. You don't want to just pick a website designer because they're going to slap it together and use AI. I immediately can go on a website and see if it's AI driven. And if you're not tailoring it to your brand, if you're not bringing out that heart, that authenticity, if you're not bringing out the true meaning behind your brand, you're going to be lost in the shuffle among every other website out there and every other brand that is just like, AI did it, we're good to go. No, come on. Stop losing your heart in the process. Stop losing why you're doing it in the process. And then we move into phase 5. We talk about your content and growth direction. It's not a social media calendar, but it's themes. Themes of what your brand consistently delivers and talks about. Yes, can we create a social media content calendar? Absolutely. But you need themes. You need a direction of what that brand truly needs to showcase. If you're not going to do that, that's going to be a problem. Anybody can throw a social media calendar together. I see so many individuals out there for social media, and you need it. I need it. I have my podcast editor. She does my social media, and she's amazing at it. Amazing at it. And anybody can do that. But you truly need to know, what is that direction? And how are you going to consistently deliver it? What are those themes that we're going to pull out of what your brand has? And typically a brand, I would say, has like 3 to 5 main themes. You could probably have more, but you don't want to be that so far in the bucket. And then you have so many different themes happening. So we dial it in. We talk about that. And then what does that look like too for your 30, 60, 90 and who's doing your social, to be able to start pivoting afterwards, and which themes are working and which themes do you need to start readdressing. And this work, when you partner with me as a brand strategist or somebody partners with me, it's not this transaction. It's not a transaction. It is truly coming home to you, coming home to your brand, and just knowing the impact that you make with individuals and what they say. Instead of having clients, they turn into lifelong friendships. Friendships that are, I'm there to help support you. When it gets further in other areas, though, like, we're going to have to talk about you bringing me on as your brand strategist. And it's just seeing that you help make a difference in their life, taking so much easement off of the things that they're going through. You have somebody that's willing to partner with you and know that you're not in it alone, helping find ways to look at things differently. We're always so structured on what society tells us. However, you need those other opinions to help be a driving force. And just seeing what others have been saying, what difference I've made in their life, how they've looked at things and thought about things or built things differently, how they see the passion of my heart when I do everything. Like, that's the real reason I'm doing everything that I'm doing and pivoting like crazy. And AI, I briefly talked about this, but AI is only going to threaten what you do if you don't utilize it properly. In addition, if you're not bringing your brand out with it, or if you're not bringing your heart out in it. And AI can help you do more faster, absolutely. But are you trying to drive and pull things to be true to you, true to your brand? Or are you just trying to utilize AI for the market that it's in right now? Because you're going to lose yourself, you're going to lose your brand, you're going to lose your company if you don't utilize it in the proper way. And utilize the tools. Don't be afraid to utilize the tools. And know that it's okay. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay that you don't have to build your brand alone. You don't have to hire a marketing coordinator in your company. You can hire a brand strategist like myself that can actually fully feel who you are, because when you hire somebody on as a marketing coordinator or a branding coordinator or a brand strategist, they can fall into the little things that you need them to do just to help take things off your plate. However, what's the real purpose of why you want a marketing coordinator or a brand strategist? To feel and bring your brand alive. And I've spent this last year trying to figure out what I was doing, where I was going, what I was aligning with. And year 2 coming up after this retreat, you guys, year 2 comes up in May for me. And it's about building something that actually holds. And something that truly brings more heart out. And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose who I am because the pressure of society and the norms happening. So the vision moving forward, the collective is changing. My strategy work is changing and my retreats are changing. I also want you to know, if listening to this feels like a conversation you wish you were having in real life, that's exactly why the collective exists. It's a space for women navigating growth in real time together, without having to perform or having it all figured out first. There's no pressure to join anything. I just want you to know the space is there if and when you're ready. And if you've been feeling the need for space, real space to step away from your roles and reconnect with yourself, I create retreats for that exact reason. They're slow, intentional, and deeply grounding. If you ever want to stay in the loop about those experiences, there's a simple way to do that when the timing feels right for you. Don't forget to check out the show notes. Everybody that I've talked to are like, how does this all coincide? It's a connected ecosystem. They're not 3 separate things. And each piece is specifically designed to move to the next. The collective is a starting point. It's a starting point to come in, to get weekly emails from me and start thinking about how you want to really show up and build your life, build your brand. In the collective too, you might get those amazing offers of the retreats. When are they launching? You might get one-off one-pagers about how to start looking at things differently, how you may need to come home to yourself this month or this week, how to find time in your day to really just be present. And then from there, the collective can go into two different ways. It can go into strategy work if you're building a brand, or if you're trying to figure out the development of your life, the development of what vision you have and how to kind of start bringing that forward. Or it could lead into a retreat. And a retreat can mean so many different things. A retreat could lead into, she has the vision. I want her to help me build it for my brand, for my employees, because we need this retreat and we need to come home as a team. Or it's a retreat that I build, and I specifically build out with an amazing teacher, because we want individuals to feel a certain way, to come in a certain way, to experience the retreat in a certain way, and then to leave it feeling invigorated, to leave it feeling excited about life again, to leave it feeling that they can take their life back into their hands. They all work together. It's not, she just has the collective, she has the podcast, she has the strategy, she has the retreats. No, it's this beautiful ecosystem that you start in one area and it's going to pivot to the next, and it's going to pivot to the next, because you can't do things with just one thing. You need different resources. You need different tools. You need to know, how does it flow all together, and how do you integrate everything together, from the collective to going on a retreat and coming back from a retreat? Is it coming back into the collective and looking at different ways things are being talked about? Is it moving into the strategy work and saying, let's do this? I want to build a brand. I want to truly figure out how to bring this forward. It's all together. It's all combined. And it's so beautiful, because the one thing I wish somebody would have told me last year is, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just truly have to be honest about the direction of where you're going, and to never give up, to never stop. If it doesn't feel aligned with you, though, pivot. It's okay to pivot. Man, I thought pivoting for the longest time was not okay. I thought, what are people going to think? Why am I doing this? Why am I leading this way? Why did I decide to take a job that just threw me back 10 steps and I didn't realize it? And then knowing that those pivots, they're okay. They're meant to help you push and move forward. Just don't give up on your hopes and dreams. Because when you give up on those, you're giving in. And we are meant for so much in this world. And with going into this retreat, spending 5 days with 11 women who are choosing to show up for themselves, I want to give them hope. I want to give them the same thing that I'm always trying to give, and how my brand is evolving in the work that I'm doing. I want them to have a little more clarity about who they are, what they're building in their lives. And I want to give them the space to allow themselves to feel again, to process through things, to stop following the everyday grind and pushing things down like we've been told. For us to be able to move forward, we also need to process everything. We need to allow ourselves to feel it. Shoot, I've talked about it in my podcast. I'm doing EMDR. And this last week, I did a breathwork class and EMDR, and guess what showed up? I was told, let me tell you this. I was told that I was going to be tired afterwards. I was going to have days that like things pop back up. And that's not what happened for me. I have felt so amazing the last couple days. However, it has showed up in my body, in my nervous system, because our body keeps the score, and I have not slowed down enough to allow myself to feel. So I have shoulder pain. I have low back pain. I have hip flexors and hip pain. But that's because I'm processing my trauma. I'm processing how I've allowed things in my life to just be bottled up, pushed down. And this retreat, the brand work, the collective, this allows the space that brands and individuals need to fully see. We get so caught up on these are our goals, but when do we finally stop, slow down, and start realigning? Because man, this week is about to be amazing. And if, again, I'm going to repeat this, if there's one thing you take away from this podcast today, I want you to leave with that. If you're building a brand, if you're chasing your dreams, to never give up. To never give up and be okay with pivoting. Things are going to shift. Things are going to evolve. Things are not going to be the same that they were a year ago. I was in Costa Rica a year ago recording my first podcast, not knowing how it was going to develop. And look at me now, 41 episodes in and making a difference. Getting beautiful messages from individuals of how I'm impacting their life and them seeing the soul that I truly have and that I was given. So take that one thing from today's episode, because if I can do it, you can do it. And there's nobody in this world telling you you can't do it besides yourself. So don't stop chasing that dream. Allow your pivots and never give up. So when I get back from Costa Rica, I'm going to have a lot more to share. And I'm so excited. So until then, keep rising, loves. If this episode resonated with you, subscribing, sharing it, or leaving a review is one of the easiest ways to support the podcast and help it reach other women who might need it too. I really appreciate you being here, and remember, you don't rise through it alone. We rise through it together.